Eric and Ernie's Variety Days, this Wednesday at 8 on Granada.
You know, Britain's electricity boards do a lot more than just supply us with electricity. While this board is helping to cut the cost of milk cooling with an ice-making process using cheaper overnight electricity, another has found a way for these silversmiths to reclaim precious metals lost during production. And this research is helping design energy-saving homes for today and for the future. By finding new ways to generate and use electricity more effectively, we will always be able to say we have the power to help you.
1800 weight transit. Hire now and get a massive 25% discount from Mitchell's. And come back again. Programs for Tuesday evening here on Granada at 7:35. Your murder mystery suspense is skyway to death as an explosion wrecks the cable car and leaves the occupants stranded.
What's happening? I don't know.
Look, Barney, I'm not going to pretend that the situation isn't serious.
Sam, could you send up the work car?
It's out of commission, but we're trying to get a helicopter over here right now.
At 9, the agony of unemployment in the hard word.
You worry about the mortgage. That's what's getting Billy down.
You can't take your house up.
Why not, Dad?
You can't.
Look, if the Doles stop helping us with the mortgage, then we'll have to sell for what we can get. It's happened to others.
At 10:30, a trip to the Assembly Rooms Derby for further coverage of the day's play in the Yamaha Organs International Masters Snooker Tournament, as all the top players compete for £55,000 in prize money. Programs for Tuesday evenings here on Granada.
Now John Pilger presents The Truth Game, a personal view of the nuclear arms race between the superpowers and the dangers of a nuclear holocaust.
In the beginning of weapon history, there was the word, and very little more. Then progress set in. Through the centuries, man has increased the effective range and efficiency of his weapons as rapidly as his science would permit.
On August the 7th, 1945, President Truman announced the atomic bombing of Hiroshima with these words: The experiment, he said, has been an overwhelming success. 3 days later, the destruction of Nagasaki was officially described as having achieved good results. These announcements, and especially the words used, experiment, success, good results, to describe the unique and horrific carnage of nuclear war, were the first public examples of a new kind of propaganda. By using reassuring, even soothing language which allowed both the politicians and us to distance ourselves from the horror of nuclear war, this new kind of propaganda created acceptable images of war and the illusion that we could live securely with nuclear weapons. Even those first 2 bombs on Japan had nice comic book names, Little Boy and Fat Man, and soon bombs were no longer bombs at all, but devices and hardware, with names like Mule and Sow and Little Bambi. Bigger and more lethal weapons were called modernized systems. Above all, we were conditioned to accept a so-called strategy for possessing nuclear weapons called deterrence, which no one could explain rationally, and which blurred the fact that a massive nuclear arms race was well underway. For 15 years of this arms race, up to 1980, the British Parliament did not once debate nuclear weapons. Such was a secrecy aimed not so much at a potential enemy, but at the British people. It was all very simple. Our side were simply the good guys of the West, and the other side were the bad guys, a dark threat, seldom portrayed in human terms. Surely, what has been overlooked is that we are a democracy, unlike the Soviet Union, and that in a democracy, secrecy and propaganda ought not to control how we think, especially in matters of national survival. And that principle is assumed throughout this documentary. Today, for many of us, the unthinkable, nuclear war, has become the thinkable, although we may not be aware that we have been led across this threshold. Today we are guided by new reassuring words, like theater nuclear war and limited nuclear war. That is, a nuclear war limited to Europe, a nuclear war in which victory is possible. But victory for whom? The good guys or the bad guys?
Today, in nuclear weapons, there is the equivalent of 4 tons of TNT for every human being, enough to wipe us out 30 times. Or is it 50 times? The official truth, or propaganda, is that the deterrence of this nuclear arsenal has given us a generation of peace. The unofficial truth is that a total of 36 countries now either have the bombs or the capacity to build it, and that nuclear war between the superpowers has never been closer. The nuclear arms race began with the war against Germany. In 1939, the physicist Albert Einstein urged President Roosevelt to speed up uranium research because he feared a German atomic bomb. Under J. Robert Oppenheimer, scientists were assembled at Los Alamos in New Mexico. Their assignment, to build an atomic bomb. This was the Manhattan Project. By 1944, special Allied agents, codenamed Alsop, had proved beyond doubt that Germany did not possess an atomic bomb. This vital information was classified top secret. It meant, in effect, there was no longer a need to build the bomb. But the military head of the Manhattan Project, General Leslie Groves, was obsessed by one consuming fear, that the war would be over before his bomb was ready. Even after Germany surrendered, Groves said, "We must not lose a single day," for there was still Japan. A rebellion broke out among leading scientists. Einstein and Leo Szilard sent a petition to the White House pleading for the bomb not to be used. But this was still on Roosevelt's desk when he died in